Hello, my subscriber. That's right, you, my subscriber. How are you doing today? I'm doing all right. Marine Sky, Crafty Sky Lady coming at you. Here in New England, as you can see, there's piles of snow all around me because we were only supposed to get a few inches, but we got about 8 inches. And I'm here in Greenfield. I'm sitting in a parking lot because I was feeling a little nostalgic, I guess is the word today. Deja vu, I don't know. But anyway, remembering back to my childhood and early teen years, and I lived with my mother after my parents had divorced. And I can remember she had to get a little welfare for us because there was 4 of us and we were all teenagers when my parents divorced, and she needed help. So we rented an apartment a few blocks over, and one of the things she would do on the first of the month there was she'd take us all to McDonald's, and it was a treat to get the Big Mac meal. So I just got myself a Big Mac, and I know they're not really good for you, and the whole French fry, and I do have, I'm taking meds for, blood pressure and diabetes and that, but every now and then you want to treat yourself to something. I mean, we don't do anything else. I rarely go anywhere. So when I come out and about, every now and then I like to find little ways to treat myself. And so I had a Big Mac meal, and I just hope it agrees with me, if you know what I mean. But anyway, I just had it, and it was delicious, and it brought back those memories of, oh God, I used to love to get the Big Mac meal way back as a teenager, about 12, 13 years old, the age of my granddaughter, and I enjoyed that treat that my mom would take us to McDonald's for a Big Mac meal. So I had one. Anywho, it's cold out, and it's supposed to get colder, and I just ran a whole bunch of errands. I had a list a mile long. I had banking to do. I had to clean the car off, number one, get trash out from the porch to the barn, did that. Call for some help in the house with Eddie because he's getting, I shouldn't even be out here. I've got to get back as soon as I can because it's hard to leave him, and I worry when he has to get up to go to the bathroom. He's walking with a walker, and he's falling an awful lot. And let me tell you, he took another good fall. Oh, a lot has happened since my last video. Okay, number one, yes, he took an awful fall just before getting him the walker. We were both in the living room. I was in my chair, which is hard for me to get out of my chair because I have a footstool in front of me and my computer and all my stuff. It's like my little office of stuff. And he was in the living room. Oh no, he had his walker. We had my daughter-in-law and my son brought over a really nice walker with wheels and a little pouch bag so he can put his stuff in. And he was using it, but he went backwards. He lost his balance and went backwards right in front of our big TV and a wooden coffee table. And he's a tall man, and I tried to jump up and grab him as best I could, but I was still a couple feet away from him. And he went down bad, and he hit his head on the corner of the coffee table. And oh, he scared me so because I could see blood. He had gashed his left ear really bad. And I'm thinking, oh my God, Eddie, I got to get you to the ER. I got to get you to the ER. You need stitches. You got a bad gash. It's bad. And but it wasn't doing a lot of blood, and got him up and everything, got that washed up, got him in the chair, and I kept saying, okay, what's my name? What's my birthday? What's your birthday? Who's the president? This kind of stuff to make sure I knew he was with me. And he answered everything fine. He said it didn't hurt that bad. And we were surprised that it wasn't gushing blood. So I kept thinking, let me call an ambulance. Let me just, you took a good fall. I really, and we fought back and forth like this for a while. And I really gave it to him. I said, you need to be looked at. And he would not let me. And, or call. I should have probably just done it anyway. But luckily, I got him up and we got him upstairs into the bed and cleaned him all up and watched him, because I know a blow to the head. I have a brother who died at age 29 of a blow to the head. And I can tell you that story. But so I know about blows to the head and looking for nausea and vomiting, and you don't really want them, laying down necessarily if you think there's a concussion. But I didn't really think that, because he wasn't complaining of head pain. He was conscious and knew everything. So, long story short, I got him in the bed and but that's when we decided, oh my God, it's really hard to leave him. And I haven't been out too long. I'm going to get back and I'll call him and check on him too. But I called our area is called Life Path for some help for him, because I have to stay right with him so much that I get nothing done. I mean, there's vacuuming, there's laundry to fold, I did spend some time upstairs in the bedroom yesterday putting clothes away and stuff, but I mean, I get one room done and another one suffers, and it's too much for me. So, and I got a girl coming and we're cleaning out the background, and there's just so much going on. In the midst of all this, I've been telling you, another huge, I'm talking massive, one of those worrisome trees that I've been talking about, and I've had in other videos, you'll see right that bordered the neighbor's house and our driveway. There was a clump of 3 to start with, and a year or so ago, the middle tree fell towards the neighbor's house, and we still to this day don't quite know who owns the land. They say it's our land. Eddie told me, he's been there since the 70s, that it's their land. So when we called, this tree fell. And I had my lady in the house with me. We'd been cleaning in the back room. And she's from New Hampshire. And she's got to get out and drive back home. I detained her an extra few minutes. We were talking about our thoughts on something, politics and that. We won't go there. But we were having this extra conversation that really wasn't planned. So I kept her for another 8-10 minutes. Well, it's a blessing that we did, because this tree would have landed on her and killed her. I am not kidding you. Right where she had to turn, and it just came right across our driveway, hit our little bug house area, we call it, decking area. It missed that by a few feet, missed this car by just 1.5 feet, I swear. Thank the good Lord, it landed, and we were inside talking, and I saw this big whoosh, and I thought, what the heck is that? And so we're looking for glass or a broken window or something. She even goes outside, and we're looking at my dining room, the bay area windows, and there was a little broken glass, but that had kind of been there. And then I'm looking out the window and looking at her, and I'm like, oh my God, wait a minute. Look at the tree behind you, the tree. And then we realized, I said, oh my God, you're not going to be able to get out. So she had to call my niece to come get her. And, so that took a while for her to come from New Hampshire to come get her. and luckily, and she had to leave her car there till I could get the tree people. And luckily, I got right on it. I got the kid who did the other trees just recently, and he was good to us. So, and I still thought we'd, be looking at it and waiting, but he came the very next day. This happened on a Thursday. He came Friday, and he and three other guys, and I don't know what the bill is going to look like. I gave him, $1,000 down because I already made contact with our insurance company, and that's the deductible anyway. And so I'm sitting on that one as far as, okay, all we do is any savings we have lately is going right to damn tree removal. I'm tired of it, folks. Really, really tired of it. And this tree was so big and so massive and so long, and there's one more standing, and the kid next door said he'd take care of it. Well, we'll see. But if he doesn't, in a few months, I'll be having that one down too. Not that I want to spend the money for it, but I don't want to have to worry about it like that. But this one that's remaining, if it falls, it's going to fall on my garden beds, and I don't really want that. So, anywho, that's what's happening. So I did get rid of it. We can get in and out. It's all gone. And thank God, because the very next day is when we got all this snow. It's been one thing after another, folks. I am not kidding you. And so hard to stay upbeat and focused and happy. And I'm working through it. But boy, it's not easy to smile lately. So these little trees like coming out and having a Big Mac meal, it's a big deal to me. I know, how pathetic, right? But that's about it. So anyway, getting back to the whole head injury, I will tell you a story, a true story. I am, like I said, there was four of us, Sullivans, four of us, and my brother Timothy, he's one of the twins. There was Tim and Tessie. John is the older Johnny. Timmy, Tessie, the twins, and then me, Maureen. So, anyhow, at 29 years old, my brother was living, well, both of my brothers at the time were living with my sister here in Greenfield on one of these side streets, and just under the Poet Seat Tower. And she owned the home, and they were living with her, and she had three girls too. So there was, her, the three girls, and then my two brothers living in this house. And I think one of them had a bedroom upstairs, but then one of the brothers was staying in her cellar downstairs because she had a full cellar. But in order to get downstairs, you had to, open the door and go down these few steps on a landing, and then turn and go down some more steps. And there was this pipe that always hung there. And, you had to remember to duck because there was always this pipe. Well, this one particular day, my brother Timmy went down. Now, I have to tell you that both of them were musicians, and my older brother John, singer-songwriter, plays rhythm guitar. He was in a band, and they were getting ready to play in the Sunderland Amherst area that night. And my brother Timmy would help the band, and he would drive bus. They had this big old school bus that they bought, the band, and it was parked in my sister's driveway too. So my brother John is sleeping in the cellar. My brother Timmy goes down to get him or wake him up or tell him something, and in a jolly mood and everything, and he was tall and slender, and Timmy, and he went down and forgot that pipe was there and was running down the stairs, and he hit I was there that day, I believe, too, because I remember how hard he hit his head. He came up and he saw stars. And we were, worried about him. And you all right? This and that. So the story goes on that he wasn't feeling all that well a little bit afterwards, but also was thinking that he had the flu coming on. And so he drives the bus like he's supposed to this event, and they set up and everything, but he's now really not feeling good. I think he threw up a couple times, just not quite himself. Back a little stiffening up on him and this and that. So I think he might have had one beer or something, but he by no means was drunk or an alcoholic or any of that. But he was in transition in his life, whereas his day job and everything, he was getting ready to sign on to this man downtown who had a vacuum cleaning business, vacuums. And he was getting ready to go work with him. And so he was kind of in between jobs where he didn't have any medical insurance. Okay. And he's 29. So from that Sunderland place where the band was playing, he's getting sicker. And so a couple of people decide that he needs to go get to a hospital. He's not acting right. And he should be checked out. He's vomiting. He's not right. So they take him to the Cooley Dickinson Hospital here in the Northampton area, Northampton, Mass. And a nurse practitioner, I think it was that night, looked him over and everything, and he told them, head injuries, they put it on paper, head injuries, ? But he told him he had hit his head earlier that day and all about, and yet they determined it was more that he had the flu, a stomach bug. Go home and rest and, do the things you do for a flu. Okay. So he goes back home to my sister's house only to not get out of bed for several days. And my sister is worried sick. And she noticed that every time she went in the room, and he's talking funny, to like seeing things, seeing people, and do you know who they are? Do you see that? And things just strange. And so about the third day of this, she told my mother and all of us that if he doesn't get up today and come down and start eating something and, acting himself, I'm going to call an ambulance or the doctors or something and make him go. So he does. He gets up and he comes downstairs, and I think it's like a Saturday morning. And so she's making pancakes or something for her kids and eggs and so she offers, you want me to make you some toast or some pancakes or something and eggs? He said, no, you go ahead and do for the kids, that's all right, and I'm gonna go up and shower. And she was so happy that he had gotten up and but still walking kind of stiff, like, so he goes up to take a shower, and shortly thereafter, she hears a good thump. Like, a good thump, like something fell. It was him. He fell, and she had to call an ambulance. And by the time the ambulance got there, which the hospital is just right down the road, he was in and out of conscious. And my other brother came up, and I wasn't there at this time, but they kept saying, Timmy, do you know who I am? And my brother was saying, "Do you know who am I?" Well, you're Johnny. What? Why? Why are you asking me that? And this, and then he'd go out again, and not, And so they were trying to keep him. And by the time he got to the hospital, he was in a coma. And then they transported him from the Greenfield area down to Springfield, the bigger hospital, and he died down there several days later. He never came out of the coma. And they told us that he had a brain aneurysm and actually didn't have anything to do with the blow to the head, but that set it off, I guess. But he had been living with this brain aneurysm. So I think the blow to the head did have some. But anyway, my mom, over the years, couldn't let that one go. I mean, she sued, and she did settle out of court in the hallways. They were getting ready to go into the courtroom doors, and it was settled, and she got a good amount, but she could have gotten a lot more. But she got a good attorney that actually knew my brother too, personally. And she won her case. We all helped her put a little money towards getting this attorney. So she gave us all a little tiny bit from that. But like I said, you think you're getting an awful lot, but by the time everybody gets paid, and it didn't last that long. But she won her case because of that paperwork they had that said head injuries, question mark. They never pursued the fact that he had this blow to the head. They never checked his head out. And, and it was a big to do this. And the nurse there that, saw him that night was so devastated and so sorry, and learned an awful strong lesson on that one. But, that's why I don't fool around with falls and blows to the head. I really don't. My sister, his twin, had a concussion for a few days, and she was in a little Volkswagen car accident where they, a bunch of teenagers, and he was traveling too fast on an old dirt road, and he went down over the bank with her in the car. And luckily she came out of that, but it took about 3 days. Yeah. So anyway, my feet are freezing, and I do have to get back to Eddie. I can't leave him too long. The car's frosting up, so I gotta get out of here and go do one more errand and get home. And so I did want to do a video. I do also want to stress one thing. If you reference back to my last video, that's doing well, and I thank you so much, all of you, for all your wonderful comments and for even taking the time to comment. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And just keep them coming, because that's going to tell that algorithm, right? You know what to do. Anywho, what I wanted to say was, I was talking about my experiences on some of those date sites back in the, I don't know what it was, well, let's see, late 90s and 2000. Yeah. When I was, in my 48, 49, 50, those years, and I was talking about one guy that I met, and I kind of was, it might look like to somebody that I was putting down the fact that he drove a potato chip truck. And I don't want anyone to think that I was putting down truckers. I know that it's the trucks and the truckers that get stuff done and bring us stuff across this wonderful country. And what they do matters, and what they do is a lot. And if it wasn't for the truckers, we wouldn't have the supplies and things that we have. So I know that. So I'm not here necessarily to say, oh, he drove a potato chip truck. I said it in the matter that this man driving a potato chip truck for a living was putting me down, uh, in one way or another. And so, you know, yeah, if you're going to go down that road, then, let's play fair, tit for tat. So okay, if you want to start comparing, okay, let's do that, kind of thing. That's where I was at with that, driving a potato chip truck. But no, I'm not here no. I love you all, and I know that what you do, and I don't care what you do for a living, as long as you're safe and not hurting anybody, and if you're profiting by, sitting and doing whatever all day long, that's your prerogative, and I'm proud of you. As long as you're maintaining your life and making, everything work for you, that's fine. I'm not, and I would have, at the time in dating, I was willing to get in a relationship with whatever you did for a living, as long as it was positive and healthy and all those things. You're not hurting anybody in the process. But what I'm saying is, I value people, and I value people in general, and what you do, in other words, what I'm trying to say is, I'm very open and try to live my life non-judgmental. So I wanted to get that across before anyone thought differently of that. Okay, feet are cold. Gotta get back to Eddie. I love you. Thank you. And if you're new here, welcome. I hope I've given you enough to come back. Good story to share. And yeah, until we meet again, I certainly hope the universe provides. I truly do. Thank you now. Bye-bye. I'll have more. More stories for sure. Bye now. Stay warm. If you're in New England like me, it's going to get colder too. We won't even go there, right? Bye-bye, guys.